Oh, hey, how you doing? Welcome to another crazy day of chaos in my life. Today, I'm gonna try to get some maintenance done on the old 2017 Honda Civic here. It's my going back and forth to work rig, so it's kind of, important. Before I get started and drop the oil, because we're gonna do an oil change, we got a new air filter. We got some things going on. Air filter, oil change, yada yada. Trying to be cheap and not, or lazy I guess, and not hook up all the doodads, microphones and everything. So I hope there's not wind and background noise. And I gotta remember to look at the camera probably when I talk. Anyway, so I think we're gonna try the rest of the can here in the Civic. But in order to do that, we got to get it ready for that. So I already kind of got started a little bit before I grabbed the camera. We got our mass airflow sensor that we do not want to hit with this stuff. So we're gonna, I got that. Yeah, kinda, sorta. I guess I really don't need to unplug it there. I'm gonna pop the air cleaner lid off, disconnect. I think right here will give me a good enough shot to where I can extend the old spray nozzle and shoot it down through the intake tube right onto the throttle body. And this stuff's going to get all over the intake valves and do magical, wonderful things. Usually, as you're spraying it in there, it says in the instructions to run the RPMs up, spray it in there. It doesn't work out that way. It tries to bog down as you spray. I'll try to get you some footage of me doing that. But anyway, that's step one on our maintenance project for today with the Civic is intake valve cleaner, because we got to give it a heat soak cycle and then run it, and then we'll drop the oil and get on to the rest of the stuff. But it has to be at operating temperature for me to do the first step of this, so that's where it's at. I just got back from the grocery store. Gonna go ahead and get this in there and let it soak on that for a while I rearrange the rest of things to make space for things. And yeah, got a lot going on, always. But today, Civic. Thanks for tuning in. Hang on, let's get to work. This day, the next thing is our oil change. So oil change on our 2017 Honda Civic. This is the base 2-liter naturally aspirated, no turbo. I'm assuming that the turbo model would be very similar in the way that you take care of it. So what you're gonna need if you're gonna change the oil in the filter, well, you're gonna need oil, and you're gonna need an oil filter, and you're gonna need the correct oil filter. So you can look that up, but if you go with the Fram at Walmart, it's a PH7317, and then they got the extra Tough Guard TH, 7317 is the number. And I always just get the generic Fram. I have never had an issue with doing that on any vehicle. On my Chevrolets, I used to get the AC Delco ones. I've currently on some of my Chevrolets, I get the Wicks. Because I believe that it's better. I think it's American made is really the main reason. Anyway, I don't know where this is made. Probably China. Does it even tell you? In little letters I can't read, probably. Made in USA. I'll be darned. See? Buying American and just assumed it was made in China because it was from Walmart. Anyway, I don't have issues with them. I've heard people badmouth them. Race car drivers, specifically. If you got a race engine, you're running race oil, use a race filter. This is not a race filter, but they work just fine for me. Anyway, end of rant. To change the oil, you need oil. To change the filter, you need a filter. Check, check. I also say you need a Sharpie, and I rip the top of the filter box off, and I write down some vital information, and then I just shove it into the old glove box or the ashtray or whatever the modern equivalent of that is. And then if I'm driving down the road and I'm like, hey, I wonder how long it's been since I changed the oil, I can just pull it out and say, oh, yeah, it's about due. Also, this is full synthetic. It says 10,000 mile oil. I generally don't trust it to go that far. I change it about every 5,000. It makes it real easy to remember when it's time to change the oil. Because, well, we're at 74, like 982 or something. So we know 75 is a 5,000 round number. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, there's a plate. I don't even know what to call it properly. It's not a skid plate. It's an airflow plate, I guess. I don't know. It really doesn't hold up to skidding, I'm sure. In order to remove that, there's going to be, I believe, some Phillips headed screws, and then some regular headed quarter turn doohickeys. You need an oil plug removal tool. I believe it's a 15 millimeter. I'm going to have to double check that. The oil plug has a metal crush washer type gasket, so having a new one of those. And then sometimes that filter is a little bit sticky, hard to get off, so I've got a filter extractolator. As you go in the loosey direction, it gets tighter. I don't remember where I got it. Had it for a while. Works great. Because a lot of times your strap wrench types, they're just really, there's no room to get in there. But this, I can't think of a vehicle yet where I haven't been able to use this with some assortment of extensions, perhaps. Anyway, that's what you need. You need a drain pan for your oil to drain into, and then after you're done, you can just put it back in that jug to take it back to Walmart to recycle, or give it to your buddy who runs an oil heater in his barn, or whatever. So, that's what we got. That's what we're going to do. First thing, we've got the car sitting up here on these ramps so that it doesn't squish me to death, hopefully. And, holy mackerel, it's about time to get the plates renewed. I got to make an appointment for an inspection. Yep, anyway, that's what we're doing. It's gonna make a mess. So you should probably have some paper towels handy. I just realized I don't. So as you saw, we took out Phillips screw. One of these front ones got knocked by some road trash or something and got knocked out. And the last time it was at the dealership or something, they put a 10mm bolt in there instead. So 10mm bolt, everything else up front was Phillips. And then these quarter turn flathead screwdriverables pretty well go the rest of the way around. And then I went ahead and I knocked loose the oil drain plug. Of course, the engine is about 7 million degrees, so there's a very high chance that I'm going to be in pain shortly. I mean, you kind of want your oil to be hot when you drain it, because then you've stirred up all the stuff and the oil's nice and highly runnable, when it's warmed up, whatever the right word there is. But as soon as these threads get done threading, did I just go the wrong way? I did. What did I do that for? This is always nerve-wracking, because you just know that oil is about probably 200 degrees, and you really don't want that drain plug to just flop loose and bathe your hand in oil like that. Ow. Yeah. Not fun. And then the oil kind of comes out all by itself. You don't really have to do nothing special. I will go pull the dipstick though, just to give it a little air inlet. I don't think that's necessary though. We should drop somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.5 quarts. I think with the filter change, it's 5, right at 5. Last time I changed it, that's what my memory is just telling me. It was 5. Get this drain bolt plug. Make sure the old gasket came off with it. And really, you can reuse these crush washer gaskets at least once, probably twice, if you don't have one handy. I just bought a bag of them a while back though, so I've always got plenty, but Honda says to put a new one on every time. I've got one, so might as well. We're gonna pretend like we put a new one on. There's nothing wrong with that one. Now the high intensity of heat of the engine currently is going to also be a problem when we drop this oil filter. But at least in the design of this vehicle, the oil filter isn't right over a frame member or something ridiculous. Because on the ridgeline, when you pull the oil filter, it makes a mess all over the frame and runs down in about 4 different places instead of 1. So, just gonna go ahead and use the wrench to get her started and let that start draining, because it's up there on just a little bit of an angle. So as soon as you break it loose, you get that stream coming down. And then we kind of, loosen it up a few tickles and, ease it off to one side or the other to try to get it to drain down quicker. It doesn't take very long to get pretty much all that's going to readily drain. And then once again, nerve-wracking while you unthread that and hope that it doesn't catch you by surprise, because it's got probably a cup or two of hot oil in it. And it's got, until it gets tight, it's got very loose feeling threads. It's very hard to judge when it's about to break completely free. And then almost inevitably I'll end up with dumping very hot oil down my finger. But that oil smells very rich. Very rich. Very much gasoline. Smell like gasoline fumes and oil. Which is probably why they tell you to run that fuel injector cleaner right before you change your oil. Because I think it makes your engine fuel heavily in order to compensate for all the going into the cylinders. Anyway, that's just my guess. What do I know? Once you get the oil filter off, I like to get up in there and just make sure that the mating surface is clean, and especially that the old gasket came off with the filter. In this case, it definitely did. And let that continue to keep trickling, draining for a little bit. Now, actually, the filter's not dripping at all over here. So, before you put on the new filter, which I've labeled with the date, the miles, the type of oil, and all that, that rubber O-ring right there, you're gonna take your finger and get just a little dibble of oil on it, and just use that to lubricate that O-ring. That's all it takes, is just a little drop of oil. You just wipe it around on there. Don't tell the state of California. And then you gotta hold your tongue just right, and then it'll thread on there. And when you feel that O-ring make contact, you're gonna go, oh, I don't know, about a full turn past that. What, 3/4 to a full turn. You don't need to go He-Man on it, just tight. When it first makes contact, about one more revolution. That's it. That way, when you go take it off next time, you're not going, why did I do that? It doesn't need to be torqued hard. That O-ring is what's gonna keep the seal. Alright, well, it's still dripping over by the drain plug. So I'm gonna let it do that for a minute. I'll check back with you. Once it gets done draining, I'm gonna put the plug back in where the plug goes. Yeah, while I'm thinking about it, let me get you a little bit of a look here. From over here, obviously we're draining oil into this pan. This pan has a spot for the filter, so the filter can drain. And if we curve our neck brace this way, lordy, can you see what I'm looking at? Here's the bottom of the oil pan of the engine. In fact, it says engine oil and has an arrow pointing back here to where the drain plug goes, which is still dripping right here. And then, can we make it where you can see this? Tucked up in here, not quite over this cover, but right there is where our oil filter is. I don't know if you can see that or not. But yeah, there's an oil filter. I just reinstalled the new one. And then once that finishes dripping over here, put the plug in, And then I'll put that little whatever that is, fan, air, foil, I don't know. I don't really know why it's there. Maybe it protects against, well, I don't know. It doesn't protect against much. It's about twice as thick as aluminum foil. Anyway, incidentally, when you're doing transmission service on these rigs, there's your transmission drain plug. Do not get confused with that and the oil drain plug. That's only when you're doing a transmission service. It's not due for that today, so that's not what we're doing. Just, if you see that big square socketed dude, that's designed for your 3/8 drive to go into. That's for the transmission. 17 millimeter over here where it says engine oil and has an arrow pointing to it. That is your oil drain. Do not confuse the two. But yeah, gonna let that drip a little longer just because I got time. Why not? And then it'll be time to put our oil in, let the oil fill. So I'll check back with you then. Well, I figured there's no way you'd even believe me if I told you I didn't spill any oil on the floor. So I went ahead and sprinkled a couple drops and wiped them up. Just, I want you to think I was a liar, but yeah. Write that down. That's the first time probably in my life. Anyway, we got the plug back in. We got it ready to put oil back into, basically. Cover panels on. And that darn fill plug, I don't know how it tightens itself up so hard, but it does. And I could probably, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do the smart thing and use the funnel. And then of course they gotta put the piece of aluminum foil right here anyway, that you always forget about until right about this point in the process. That's a good thing to do while you got the hood open and you're in here looking at stuff. You might as well top off your windshield washer juice, check your brake fluid, your power steering. Because I've done this before and my memory works sometimes, I do remember that the SuperTech Walmart 5-quart jug is the perfect amount. And it'll show a little over full until you run the engine. Because right now the oil filter is not full of oil. Sometimes on some vehicles I fill it with oil before I install it. Not on this one, because the angle that the oil filter sits at, it would just, you'd just make a mess. It wouldn't be worth it. And it's super handy that it takes all 5 quarts, because now we can use the old jug that the new oil came in and dump the old oil into it, put the cap back on it, take our Sharpie, write used oil on the top, and it's ready to haul over to my buddy John's house, because he's got a waste oil heater in his shop, so he likes it. And that's pretty much that. We'll check it with the dipstick. Just double check and make sure. We'll give it an eyeball underneath, make sure it's not leaking out of something that I forgot. But it's not. I've done this a time or two. It's not gonna leak. And then I'll start it up, back it off the ramps, and probably go run it over to the car wash just so tree pollen and the bird poop can have something to aim at later tonight. And that's it. The only other thing we got left is to change the air filter for the cab, but that's exactly the same as on the Honda Ridgeline. It's behind the glove box. And yeah. Well, I'll show you that real quick, I guess, just in case you weren't watching the other video. Alright, I'm gonna try to make this quick. Quicker than the ridge line, hopefully. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a mess. Here's while we're in here, here's an example of, you know, my oil change cards. There's the whole life story of the maintenance of the vehicle and all these oil change cards. Anyhow, we're going to get in here just like on the ridge line, pull it in from the sides and let it drop. Try not to throw everything on the floor. And it's really hard to see up in there with this light. But we've got a little door. In the case of the ridge line, it was a drawer. In the case of this, it's a door, and then you pull the filter out. Holy moly. Drop that on the garage floor. There's a ton of leaves and whatnot hanging out there. And then we're just gonna pull this one out of the box, rip the zipper, and let's see, airflow is supposed to go down. Should mean this is strange. So the airflow goes down that way. Okay, if you say so. And then I bought the cheapest possible one, so just to make sure it would be difficult to install. Because it's kind of got to go up into some slots. Doesn't fit right there. I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, and then the door goes back on. I don't know if you can see a darn thing I'm doing. Probably not. Air flows down that direction. And the dogs I had to let out because they needed to go in the backyard. Now they're over there just making sure I don't have good audio. Tell me, what am I doing wrong with my life? How do you try to explain this? Oh, come on. Surely you gotta go right there, don't you? No, right here? Well, if I tabbed it in. Why is this so difficult around the corner where I can't see what I'm doing? Okay. Well, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was going to go, and then it went. Okay, cool. I'm just going to leave our sunglasses on top. And there you go. Got our old dirty filter out. New filter in. This one says it's good for 20,000 miles. I'd have to look and see on my little cards when I changed that one last, but wow, yeah, it's kind of not white anymore. Anyway, the dogs are barking. Time for me to be done. So we've changed both air filters, the oil filter, topped off the fluids under the hood, done the intake valve cleaning, and Time to back this thing off the ramps and get it out of the garage. Put everything back to bed for the night. I only have a one-day weekend this weekend, and this is it. So I hope you're doing great. It's a beautiful day out. What is today? The 22nd of May? Yeah. What is today? The 22nd of May. That rhymed. I gotta go. Have a great one. Thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe. I can get some speech therapy lessons. Almost forgot. Last thing I want to do here, just so that the dash isn't driving me crazy. We got all these warning lights on because I had the battery disconnected again after the test drive, after the intake cleaning. And what do we got going on here? System, push and hold the power button for more than 2 seconds. Yeah, okay. Oh, we gotta reset the things. So we're gonna go home, go into settings, go into vehicle, and oh, I probably should check the air in the tires too and do a TPMS calibration, but maintenance info, engine oil and tire rotation, we're gonna reset. I don't know why it's saying that. Spark plugs. Yeah, all that's been done. Except for the spark plugs, they're not due yet. All due items. Yeah, reset it all. Alright. So now, when we come over here and we go into our info, oh, it's gonna be mad about the door being open, but then we can go over to, oh, back. I said that. What are you doing? Oh, enter. Duh. So see, now it shows the oil life being 100%. So that won't be bugging me. And we'll go back there because that's where I like to keep it. Anyhow, yeah. I gotta go drive it to get all the calibrations recalibrationed, and I gotta go throw the stick for the dog because he's going nuts back there, probably making all the neighbors angry. And we'll go back home with that. In fact, actually, I think I'm gonna put this back in the garage, check the tire pressure, and then we'll do a TPMS recalibrate while we're taking it on a test drive here in a minute. So hopefully, if you had any questions about how to change oil on this generation of Civic, specifically with the 2-liter, but I'm sure if you got the 1.8, or you know, it's probably the same, or even the Type R, there might be some different stuff underneath you got to mess with, and it's probably really hard to get one of those up on the ramps. I kind of got to hit the driveway angle into the garage angle just right to get the ramps to fit under my front ground effects. I imagine the R-Type is just, forget about it. You can't do it. Anyway, that's all I know right now. I really need to get some more stuff done, but I don't have enough time. Story of my life. Hope you're having a great one. Hope all your stuff's getting done, or at least you're having fun trying. I know I am. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.